Check, check.
An El Nino winter is
big and powerful.
Power.
El Nino is scary, unpredictable.
hectic, big, scary. It's always got, you know, the pedal to the metal.
El Nino is the best thing to ever happen to surfing in the state of Hawaii.
Are you recording right now?
This winter's just been special. Hope there's a couple more like this before my time's over.
Well, I think the legacy of Wave of the Winter, you know, goes back, you know, years and years.
You know, back then, it was just all the guys that surfed Pipeline. You know, everyone would remember who got the Wave of the Winter.
I remember, you know, 25 years ago or more, hearing guys say, oh, he got the best wave I've seen all winter, you know, and that was sort of like the coconut wireless.
You know, and there was no date on it. It was starting from September or the first walleye pipeline till March, April, whenever it ended.
You know, so when this competition sort of came into fruition, it was so amazing to watch it actually get documented.
Oh, 25 G, fixed dog.
Yeah. As a past winner of the Wave of the Winter is high up in my accomplishments. To win Wave of the Winter, it's hard, man. It's harder than winning the Pipe Masters. To me, it's checked off every box I wanted to win at Pipeline. Pipeline keeps producing the most perfect waves in the world, and it's just built around this great area, and there's a bunch of great surfers that are here ready to tackle it at any given moment. And it just hits the ledge and it hits the reef so hard that even the houses around here shake.
The importance of winning Wave of the Winter is that the entire world will know your name. Not only that, you get a big check, you get a big smile, and you got pride on your side.
Winning the Wave of the Winter is like the ultimate goal for all the pipe specialists, and not just them, but all the guys that are coming here to surf pipe.
I like the fact that it opens it up. You know, it's not an exclusive thing, but a very inclusive event that, you know, it gives everyone from around the world an opportunity and a platform to show the level of surfing that they have. Guys are getting deeper and deeper and just making it out of impossible barrels.
When you take off on a wave and you don't think you're gonna make it, that's probably your best chance to get Wave of the Winter. Spit out in the channel and blow your own mind. It's not even about anybody else. You blow your mind at Pipeline, you know you're getting better and things are moving forward for you out there.
I'm fortunate during the Hawaii season to be able to stay there at the O'Neill house. So when pipe's going off, my daily routine's just waking up.
Lights are on at dark, coffee's going.
A lot of pacing, anticipation. It's nerve-wracking.
I'll paddle out when I see something really excite me.
If pipe's good, from morning till dark, basically, we're surfing.
Hopefully it's a 6-8 hour day in the water.
That's what you got to do if you're there to, you know, prove yourself.
living at Pipeline, you could live on the pulse. You know, you see it pulsing and you're right out there. Within 5 minutes, you're in the lineup and you're doing your thing.
You see a lot of people putting in a lot of time at off the wall, backdoor, Pipeline, and I mean, it pays off.
If I had to describe the judging panel in a short sentence, it would be, in a word, legends. Yeah, how do you impress Jerry Lopez, the guy who put Pipeline on the map? I wouldn't even know. If somebody said, yeah, try and impress Jerry, I would make him breakfast, because that's about all I could do.
You know, to this day, I don't think I've ever seen a better, heavier wave than a wave that I saw Sean Briley get at Pipe. It actually broke on the first reef, which is rare. Most of those waves actually would cap out the back and got blown out the end. And I still haven't seen anybody get a wave that good.
All of them have been way more barreled than any of us ever will. And the fact that you got all of them on one panel, it's going to be really hard to impress them because they've seen it all.
Well, obviously the judging criteria for the wave of the winter is subjective criteria, so
different judges are going to look at certain preferences that they tend to lean towards, whether it was the quality of the wave, how aesthetically pleasing the wave was, and how beautiful visually it was versus how the surfer chose to ride the wave.
For me, the wave comes first.
I tend to lean more towards the surfer and how critical they chose to ride that specific wave.
In my eyes, at least, as one of the judges, I try to look at a wave that is, even if no one was on it, you'd say that's one of the most impressive waves I've seen this winter.
I look at more technical ability, the surfer more so than the wave itself. You know, I want to see a guy really lay it on the line and get as deep as possible in the barrel. Sometimes the wave might warp and have, you know, imperfections. But to me, you know, that constitutes a little bit more of, you know, a critical ride.
November on the North Shore, it was pretty slow. There was maybe 1.5 swells. Pipe wasn't really doing its thing. There was still a lot of sand on the beach. Just November didn't really develop what we were looking for.
Typically, Novembers are on the slow side on the North Shore. You still kind of have this transitional season where you got high pressure that's sticking around most of the North Pacific. And so you tend to see swells that are a little more like north-northwest or north, a little smaller too. So a lot of days like Rocky Point and things like that, kind of those smaller wave spots or north swell spots.
December, you know, it's a busy time over there. Everybody's in town, so to get windows like that where Pipeline is good, and I'm all over it.
As we moved into December, started to see bigger swells, more consistent swells, and then swells a little bit more west in them. Things really started to turn around. We obviously had a really big swell right at the beginning of the month. So this is the storm that produced the swell for December 6th, 40 to 50 knot winds. The storm took a decent track kind of towards Hawaii, but this is one where it was actually a little too big on the peak. Like obviously, typically when you see Piahi going off, that means that most of the nearshore spots along the North Shore are going to be a little maxed out.
The month of January, El Nino kicked into full effect. I don't even know what day it is. I've lost track of all time because it hasn't been under 100 feet in like 4 months.
It was crazy because this winter they were like, El Nino hits January 1st. And sure enough, it was 25 feet.
It was pretty cool to see things just turned on and just started firing. And we had so many big swells during January. It was like, again, that kind of prime zone of wave of the winter entries was like, it was washed out for each of those peaks of swell. So it's kind of like you had to time it on the front end, kind of the back end of the swell. This swell, which peaked on January 15th, but actually the good days for like pipe backdoor off the wall were the 17th and 18th after it came down a little bit, kind of got more in control. The interesting thing, again, we mentioned it with some of the December storms, was it wasn't aimed all that well at Hawaii. You can see most of the energy is kind of bypassing the islands to the north and the east.
Yeah, I don't surf early season anymore. The big swells don't happen till later in the year nowadays, and pipe doesn't really get good until all that sand's off the reef. So when you're surfing early season, there's a lot of backwash, a lot of closeouts, and that sand at the end of the channel at pipe and even on the inside while you're paddling out, it just makes pipeline like a big sandbar. I just don't want to get injured for when the real days come, so I try to stay away from early season.
The first part of February, we had kind of back-to-back swells that were more like the classic pipe type swells. So like a lower latitude storm that came off of Japan. And so what that resulted in is we had a swell that was a lot more west in it.
The first time I surfed the pipeline, I was a sophomore in high school in 1963.
Maybe 12 or 13. I started pretty early. Up to that point in time, I don't recall any other kids surfing pipe.
I think when I was like 14, it wasn't a big day, but I remember just first wave I paddled and I was way too late and I free fell, I got pounded, but I was kind of scared but happy at the same time. I was like, whoa, like that's how it is to get pounded.
I sat out there and we were together and then he pushed me on my first wave. On my first wave I stood up, I didn't have wax on my board or something. I just cartwheeled down the face.
For me, when I was growing up at Pipeline, it was hard. I mean, there wasn't a lot of kids that were that into it. It was just a little psych that me and a few of my friends had. We were just all so fired up to surf pipe. That's all we wanted to do. And we were shit scared of it.
I think there's a lot of us who are actually trying to give a wave, trying to give advice. I know I do, because I didn't have that when I was growing up. My job is mostly as a lifeguard, but sometimes as a life coach, and I'd love to give somebody a wave in their life. Hopefully it's a wave of the winter.
This is actually, I think, an awesome addition. The breakthrough performer. It's kind of cool to see who's going to be the next big thing on the North Shore. And so I like this award because it puts us on, you know, who's on the horizon, who's coming up next. It's going to be that guy. And
this year, this kid from Australia, young Jack, just was really something else. I mean, talk about, I think he's only 19 years old, but talk about poise and style already.
It's just such a hard place to get used to, Hawaii and proving ground, just because the whole talent pool there. I'm pretty stoked to be able to get that award because that's the arena.
Jack Robinson, yeah, he's gnarly. He's sickest style, clean, and probably one of the best bow riders right now. Like, not even just in his age bracket, but I'd say in the world.
I think being from West Oz and that place being so raw and just heavy that he likes these heavy conditions. Like when it comes down to it, he just spends a lot more time out here than all the other kids. So I think that's the bottom line.
I think the most important thing about Jack Robinson winning that Breakthrough Performance Award is that he comes from Australia. Being able to catch a wave at Pipeline, not being from Hawaii, is probably the hardest thing that anybody will ever do. So good job.
It's cool because over the years and over the decades, you always have a young up-and-coming kid. And whether they're on tour, they're on the QS or not, this format of Wave of the Winter gives other up-and-coming kids a platform.
Well, I mean, Cause hangs out with, you know, Nathan Florence, John Florence, all those kids, and I think those kids are at the pinnacle of pushing surfing, you know, futuristic maneuvers, charging, everything. I think they're right there at the forefront. And I don't see how he couldn't be one of the biggest chargers in the world hanging out with that group of kids.
As this Wave of the Winter event has evolved, it's not like a contest where it's one given day. It's over November, December, January, and February, 4 months. This year, we saw a lot of Koa Rothman.
And if I'm not mistaken, we all unanimously voted for Koa. He was an easy pick.
I'm really honored that I got recognized. This has been my best winter, and to be recognized for it by some of the most prestigious judges there are is awesome.
I've actually been really inspired by Koa Rothman surfing in the past quite a few years, actually.
He charges.
He just looks confident.
Consistently performed at a really high level.
Deservingly.
I picked two charities, the Huiohei Inalu Foundation and Waves for Water. Huiohei Inalu sets up all the local beach cleanups and helps all the local people around North Shore and pretty much all the islands. And Waves for Water, I just can't believe people still in this day and age don't have clean drinking water to survive.
Proud of him, happy that he could do something that he loves to do and he's good at it.
In years past, you know, a lot of the good rides all came from 1 or 2 days. But this season, there were so many good days.
I really like the fact that the criteria excluded any of the waves that were ridden in any of the events this year, because that sort of gives guys an unfair advantage. They're out in the water with 3 other guys or maybe 1 other guy. The guys that placed in this year's event, you know, they had to deal with 40 to 80 guys in the water at a time. You know, their positioning had to be spot on. You know, you had to be in rhythm with the ocean. It's dog eat dog in the lineup.
First, second, third, they were all so tight. Just a hair separating them. Evan Valier, the wave that he caught was really the kind of wave that I used to love to catch at the Pipeline. beautiful long tube ride, perfect trim position. You know, he ended up riding it all the way in, which again was pretty special for me because I don't like to just ride the tube at the pipeline. I like to ride the whole wave from the start to the end of it. Probably such a good wave for him. He probably rode it all the way to the beach and said, that's it for the day.
This wave of Keahi's is, you know, it's sort of an overcast day, and it was really chunky. This was actually right up there in my top 2 selections. And the reason why I chose this wave is how critical the wave was, and you know how committed he had to be to actually ride this wave and make it. In my mind, this wave was about as critical of a wave as you can ride at Backdoor.
I think it's cool each year when certain judges, whether it be Jerry or Poncho or Ross, and we don't necessarily come up with the same winner. I think that's great. I think it's healthy for the contest and the competition.
At the end of the day, when I finally did pull the trigger on putting that wave #1 for me on Wave of the Winter, I felt really good about it because A, it was so perfect. I mean, it was light offshore. Obviously, it was a really, really good barrel. He got barreled for a long time. B, it was a heavy wave. You know, an 8 to 10 foot wave at off the wall, it's going to double up. It's not going to be easy. It's going to make you be really committed to even just paddle for it. At the end of the day, it's a no-brainer for me. That was a sick wave.
Mikey's wave was critical. It was deep. The wave was pretty much perfect. And he did exactly what he needed to do to make it out of that wave. He got about as deep as he could.
What really did it for Mikey's wave, especially, was the camera angle. Mikey's wave, at least the angle that I really liked, was shooting into the tube. It adds so much more drama to the wave when you can see how actually hollow it is. You know, when you're shooting straight on at a right angle to the wave, it flattens it. Now, Mikey's wave, as you're looking in the tube, you can see how absolutely round and hollow that cylinder is. And you can see those medicine balls, you know, from the surfer paddling through, the photographers in the water are dropping out of the ceiling. He's having to negotiate those. And at one point, that one angle looking into the tube, he actually disappears from sight. You know how really deep he is. And then, you know, there's several submissions from different angles. So on that square angle, you can really see how deep in that wave he is.
I think all the judges really feel a great sense of responsibility in making the right call. You know, so again, had to look at it over and over, but you know, his wave, it had size. It was a, you know, perfect, thick, heavy off the wall wave. In the end, it was just an amazing ride that, without a doubt, it was the wave of the winter.
My name is Mikey O'Shaughnessy, and I was born and raised in Kalapana, Hawaii, on the Big Island. Look at you.
Look right at me, yeah.
Okay.
Just look at me, but just focus over here.
In the lens. El Nino was a blast. It was the most fun I ever had, and was just kept coming. Was up the retry. Yeah. Oh, you guys, you guys, bro. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, so cool. Yeah. This is definitely the highlight of my winter.
So stoked for you, Mikey.
Mikey O'Shaughnessy, he's a working class hero.
I couldn't have picked anyone better this year.
Not only did he win, but he earned it.
Beautiful wave.
He can't say he's underground no more, because the whole world knows him now.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
He's unreal, real respectful and charges.
And he earned it on a winter that had so much magnitude, an El Nino winter where the waves were so gigantic and so memorable that it'll go down in history.
remember just looking at it and looking at it as if it was a closeout. And as I got to the bottom, I noticed it was throwing real hard, and I was like, wow, this is really beautiful. As I threw my first pump into it, the thing even started throwing even faster. And next thing you know, I'm going even faster. The foam ball hit underneath of my board and just projected me, shot me out. I didn't really think I was gonna make it the whole time until I finally exited it. When it let me out, then I was like, wow, that was like unmakeable. That kind of feeling is what drives me. That's what I live for, is those moments.
So I set my course in covered ground. I was on the lookout for some fun in this town. You were inside, I climbed the stairs. You didn't scream, I smoothed my hair. You held your arms out in a way, oh in a way I won't forget. I climbed this hill to see the sights. Past the silent bar and sign said music here tonight. So I sang a tune under my breath. I entertained no one but myself. You were inside, I climbed the stairs. You didn't scream, I smoothed my hair. You held your arms out in a way, oh in a way I won't forget. You were inside, I climbed the stairs. You didn't scream, I smoothed my hair. You held your arms out